Hey everyone. So I was just in between consultations and I looked out the window and it was kind of one of my favourite times of the day where day begins to turn to night, especially at this time of year. Just kind of got that sense of everything just quietening down, almost softening. And I thought, yeah, because the consultation, the conversation that I previously had was almost the innate, really kind of grabbing hold of this lady that I was working with, and saying to her that so much of what we do, or so much of what she was doing, was almost an automatic response, and kind of moving through life with this kind of automatic response constantly going off. And actually this whole feeling of really kind of trying to grab her attention to literally kind of stop and take stock. So as I was looking out the window and I'm kind of seeing day turn to night, everything is slowing down, and that's what nature does at this time of the year. We're around about kind of a few weeks away from Christmas. We're right in the heart of the beginnings of winter, but so many of us are literally kind of tearing about. And the innate it's trying to get us to kind of almost stop, stand still, wake up to what's really, really vitally important. And one of the things that they feel passionate about this Christmas is to absolutely bring back the meaning of it, the heart of it, and that sense of connecting to those things that are vitally important, i.e. each other, i.e. shared time. How many people right now are approaching potentially their last Christmas through terminal illness, through sickness, through unknown unpredictability. I only go back a couple of years, and I received a phone call just after Boxing Day to say that my dear uncle had dropped down, passed away very suddenly with a heart attack. There's so much that, as much as we tap in and as much as we get spoken to, there's certain things that they don't speak about, for many, many reasons. So there's a quality to that is unknown, and it drives when you lose somebody that's really close to you, when you lose someone that's really, really important to you. What it drives home to you in that moment is the importance of life and what really, really matters. And one of the things that we often then do is say, do you know what? I'm going to do things differently from here on. I'm really sensitized in that moment to what really matters and what doesn't, and all that what doesn't falls away. And I think one of the things that happens at this time of year is what so many of us tend to do, is that we try to meet the expectation and the demands of others. And those demands quite literally have a demand on our time, and it's almost like an obligation. How many of you are sitting here thinking, oh my God, I'm dreading Christmas because I've got to go to spend it with this part of the family or that family or with these people, and I really don't want to be doing it. So my question to you is, why are you? Okay, you don't have to, and you do not have to justify your choices and your decisions, because do you know what? One of the things that you can give another, which is so hugely precious, is actually time. Because you know what? Once that time is given, you never ever have it back. So actually, I think it's really, really vital that your time and attention is used wisely and it's used consciously. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, now I'm dreading going there, then don't do it. Have the courage, have the fortitude, have the strength to absolutely say no and not allow yourself to kind of be robbed of this precious time. And I think the other thing is to kind of consider, if you've got people in your world that you dread spending time with, then maybe they shouldn't be within your world. And I think that's a really important point, is that try to picture your world as a long table, and who would you want around that table? And if you've got people that are sitting within your world that you wouldn't want at your table, or you wouldn't trust them with your front door keys, or you wouldn't trust them in your house, is they should not be in your world. Have the courage and fortitude to start making decisions at that level. And the other thing is, we all kind of, as a dear friend says, we all move through time trying to meet all those demands, and the material aspect of this time of year is something the innate feels very, very passionate about, more so than ever. Is that how much of that stuff that you're rushing around to buy actually becomes appreciated or actually is needed. How about, and I've wrote a blog, and you will find it, and I will put a link to it in this video. How about kind of simplifying? How about kind of meeting those gifts with heart? There's a whole list of gifts that can be done differently, and I think it's this whole thing of moving through life unconsciously because everyone else is doing, I think I should do it. Quite often I try to look at giving the gift of experience. So if I'm going to give a gift, I'm always trying to look at how that can move that person on. How can that foster and nurture growth for that person? How's that going to kind of transform their world? A gift that continues to give, carries on giving. And that I feel the innate are very, very passionate about. One of the things that I said recently in a consultation is, how about you giving the gift of a letter to someone, handwriting a letter, put it in the post. Nobody writes letters anymore. You imagine receiving a handwritten letter. And for those people that are saying, I don't see the value in that, is maybe gently you just need to stand still and kind of look at what's going on in the world, and kind of where our values are and what really, really, really is important. Recently, my little one had his 5th birthday. He's found himself onto 2 wheels and he's riding hugely independently, and we try to nurture and foster experiences, experiences that help him grow, that often become a memory that lasts a lifetime. And I think it is, those gifts are the greatest. When you kind of look back on your childhood, it's the experiences that you remember the most, not altogether the gifts that you've had. And one of the things that our closest friends done was actually to give him gifts that helped support him, and one of them was some hot chocolate and a enamel mug that can be carried and be travelled with, and to go and have all these adventures that he has and these experiences that he has. And I can remember the first time we poured that hot chocolate in there and he kind of held on to this little mug and his face was beaming. That ties into the experience he's having and where he is, what he's doing and who he's with. So have a look at the blog that I'm sending. But one of the things I really want to get across is that actually it doesn't have to be you tearing to the supermarket, filling up a freaking well trolley that 3/4 of that food then gets wasted. How about making your Christmas cake, your Christmas pudding? How about making some of those gifts, or finding them in a charity shop, or creating an experience, and importantly, who is round your table. And not kind of sitting there thinking for days, oh my God, I've got to cook this huge meal. One of the things that I experienced very recently in the last week or so that really touched me and moved me was I was invited to a good friend's full moon supper, and he held this supper and a real beautiful kind of meditation and shared experience around a fire. And a supper was at the heart of that. And you know what he invited everyone to do was to bring food, bring a plate or a couple plates of food, and then all that food was gathered on the table and it become a shared experience. Does it have to fall on one person? I think that with the right people around your table, that kind of ask would not be a tall order. And I think then it's about everyone being together. That's at the heart of it, especially for me, and I know the innate feel very passionate about it. So what I've wanted to do is kind of stir up some thoughts about this time of year. Don't move through it unconsciously. If you feel you've got an obligation, you don't want to be there, you want to be somewhere else, be somewhere else. I think it's really, really, really important that we kind of meet it at that place of what sits very strongly in our hearts. And the other thing is, you do not have to spend hundreds and thousands of pounds. One of the things is I saw the other day, passing a toy shop, was a child throwing a huge tantrum because they want the biggest and the best. But what we've got to ask ourselves, are we kind of fostering that behaviour? Are we supporting that behaviour? Seeing my little one hold that enamel mug with his hot chocolate and the grin on his face as he sat there as we watched the sun go down, and that sounds like, what an amazing picture I'm painting, but you know what, it's an experience that I won't forget, of seeing him grin holding on to his own little cup. I think it is about experiences, the gifts that continue to give. I leave that with you. I leave the love of the innate with you, and hopefully we've stirred up some different thought. Cheers guys, bye.